We are back with another Johnny Torch live broadcast. Welcome one and all, to the only way to spend your Saturday here with us on Johnny Torch Live. We have for you today another Torch News Roundup. We have Torch News Roundup number 147 today. And this is Johnny Torch Live broadcast number 169. And we're going to take on all that D23 news. You can tell I'm I'm a little tired today. But we are going to cover all the D23 news that has been out at least up to now. We are recording this live at approximately 3:30 Eastern Standard Time. A little early, fashionably early. But there's a lot of news to get to, and I was kind of concerned that if I start too early, something really big is going to break. But we got all the MCU news that pretty much matters. We also have some Star Wars news. I think that's about the extent of what we're going to get for Star Wars news. So I figured might as well get the stream going now. No news so far about Spider-Man, which is something a lot of people are hoping for and looking forward to, but unfortunately no news about that yet, if the MCU is going to pull out a last-minute stop. Before we get into the subjects of today, let me read you the spiel. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. We're trying to reach 100 subscribers. We lost one apparently, so shame on you. I don't know if YouTube does this. Apparently they do it to everyone. And, so if you're a viewer, a regular viewer, make sure you're still subscribed, and subscribe if YouTube has unsubscribed you. Also, I'm going to be at the Granite State Con come September 14th and 15th. Looking forward to that one very much. Hoping to see you there. We'll be selling copies of When the Night Comes, as you see the cover on your screen there. That is our latest graphic novel, which comprises 3 issues of the series. Issues 4, 5, and 6 in the When the Night Comes story arc. Of course, that's the story where Carrot Top and Pencil Neck Bullets Bourbon's 2 main adversaries join forces in order to conquer the United States first, but, they have plans for world domination. And, of course, Bullets Bourbon is the only one to stand in their way. He, of course, the titular private eye of the piece. So check out the link in the description below to find yourself a copy. As I mentioned earlier this week, we still have the signed copies of the graphic novel offer up for another week. So I'll autograph you a copy and send it out to you still during this week. But after that, you are going to have to see me at Granite State Con if you want an autographed copy. Also, the link in the description below for my Twitter page if you want to check me out on Twitter and see all the crazy shenanigans I get myself into. On second thought, don't check out Twitter if you value your sanity, because a lot of times, yeah. Okay, so, check out The Adventures of Bullets Bourbon, Private Eye. I'm working very diligently on the remaster for issues 2 and 3. Had to go out and buy myself another stylus yesterday. It's only been a year. I can't believe my stylus is pretty much worn out. So there was a slight lull in the action, but I am back to work on it, and it'll probably be done by the end of the year at least. And then, of course, there's the remaster for the first issue. I originally was tempted to do all 3 issues in one graphic novel, but I'm kind of leaning now towards just doing the first issue as a standalone, because that's what it was always intended to be. I'm tempted to put it with the other 2 issues, issues 2 and 3, because that kind of gives weight to the story. The first issue is very much just a primer, and so that's good and bad. On the one hand, you get all you need to know about Bullets Bourbon in one issue, like a 23, 24-page issue. But on the other hand, you don't build up to something, in the future of the series, which I think issues 2 and 3 do. I've always described it as the first 3 issues are pulling your sled or toboggan or whatever you want to call it up the hill. And issues 4, 5, and 6 are at the top of the hill and starting to go down, and from then on, it's just a wild ride. The rest of the series is a wild ride, but you gotta have at least 3 issues to set up before you feel like you're acclimated to the world and really get on the same page. All right, so check out The Adventures of Bullett's Bourbon Private Eye, and let's get on with the show proper. Again, I don't know. I hope I'm not coming down with something, but just feel a little tired today. Let's see. Let's start off with, and I'm still pretty proud of myself being able to master the OBS. This seems to be something that used to give me trouble, but I think I'm able to get it going here now. Although this is not supposed to be covering the crawl on the bottom, but alright, that's well enough. Leave well enough alone, as I always say. Alright, first off, we'll start with the Black Panther news. Ryan Coogler came out to join Kevin Feige at the D23, which I still don't understand why they call it that. Anybody, if you're in the chat, which, by the way, yeah, be sure to leave comments in the chat or in the description below, and I always get back to all the comments and questions, so be sure to do that. But if you know why it's called D23, please let me know, because I have no idea. Alright, Marvel Studios President Kevin Feige took the stage and brought out Ryan Coogler to officially announce Black Panther 2. Coogler wasn't quite ready to reveal the title or the film's villain, but he formally announced that the eagerly awaited sequel will open in theaters May 6th, 2022. So, yeah, that's pretty interesting news. A lot of people were expecting this one to come out in February, because that's when the first one came out, I think, right? But they're pushing this one closer to a summer release, and obviously, why not? It's done very well. The first film, anyway, did very well. And, yeah, I don't know. Not much else to say about it. Are you excited about Black Panther 2? There's not a whole lot to talk about it here, but apparently the film is a go, as they say in the Hollywood parlance. Okay, next up, let's see. Following the Black Panther 2 news, Marvel Studios switched gears to the Eternals and brought out the entire cast while revealing the first concept film from the highly ambitious intergalactic adventure. The cast reveal also featured 3 big announcements. It was confirmed that Gemma Chan from Captain Marvel. What was she in Captain Marvel? I don't remember. Barry Cohegan from Dunkirk and Kit Harington from Game of Thrones. Oh, well, maybe she was the Skrull, the female Skrull. I'm not sure. Oh, no, maybe she was one of those Captain Marvel teammates there. I don't know, but they're giving her another role, which is kind of unusual. I mean, unless it's a small role, so she must have had a small role. Kit Harington, of course, had been suggested. A lot of people were rumoring on Twitter that he might be playing the new Wolverine. A lot of people, I think, were hoping that. But it was revealed he's been cast as Dane Whitman, a.k.a. the Black Knight. That's pretty exciting to me, because I remember the Black Knight more than any of the other Eternals. It might generate a modicum of interest for me, knowing that the Black Knight is in it. But even that, he's, you know, to say he's a D-lister is kind of generous. I don't think too many people outside of, you know, the rabid fandom would probably remember the Black Knight. He was kind of a big deal, you know, in Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends, which is the first and last time I probably saw him. Let's see. Chan will be playing Cersei, who has been described as the film's lead, while Cohegan has been cast as Droog. Alright, so interesting, kind of. I don't know. These characters look any good to you? Is that Adam Driver there in the middle? No, I guess not. I don't know. We got like the Pixie Kid on the end, and there, of course, is Angelina Jolie, who I don't really know who she's playing. Did they say who she's playing? I don't know. But yeah, all right, interesting, I guess. Let me know what you think about the Eternals. And as we move on, let's see. we have some news here about WandaVision, and surprisingly, that news encompasses the return of Kat Dennings. Now, I'm all for the return of Kat Dennings. I think we talked about this a couple weeks ago. But to have her return and put her in the WandaVision series, this doesn't really particularly sound like it makes a whole lot of sense. I mean, you would think this would be something that, you know, you would have somehow her related to Thor, to the Thor movie, the Thor Love and Thunder, and give her a small role in that, or perhaps spin her off somehow from that, like, you know, leave her character in that movie leading to something else. I don't know where, you know, they would pick up with Wanda and Vision, but let's see. Let me read the copy. During the Marvel Studios segment of the big Disney Plus presentation, Kevin Feige revealed new details about WandaVision and announced that the series would see Kat Dennings and Randall Park reprise their roles as Darcy Lewis and Agent Jimmy Woo. If you don't remember, Agent Woo was in Ant-Man and the Wasp as sort of the probation officer, sort of, for Scott. A lot of people skipped that movie, and that was a good movie. I gotta tell you, I liked Ant-Man and the Wasp. I don't care what anybody says. Really disappointed that we didn't hear any news about an Ant-Man 3, but I don't know. You don't want to leave, you know, the Wasp especially just started. I mean, Ant-Man has had some screen time, but the Wasp, she really had just that one role in the Wasp, in Ant-Man and the Wasp, and then, you know, Endgame just had her as a, you know, as a team player, just on the fringes, sort of, the action. Okay, the pair weren't the only new additions to the upcoming series. Primetime Emmy nominee Kathryn Hahn from Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse also joined the cast in a role that's currently being described as Wanda's nosy neighbor. Oh, noisy neighbor. Noisy neighbor. Noisy. I don't know, I read that fast, I thought it was a nosy. Noisy. I don't know. Again, what does that have to do with... I don't know. I mean, when they first announced WandaVision, I thought it was going to be some kind of weird, surreal type thing, you know, out there, like, to lead up to Doctor Strange Into the Mind of Madness, or whatever it's called. But, I don't know. I mean, this seems more like a comedy or something slapstick. I don't know. Let's see. Matt Shakman Fargo is directing the 6-episode series, which will be headlined by Marvel Cinematic Universe veterans Elizabeth Olsen and Paul Bettany. Teyonah Parris from Mad Men will also feature as an adult Monica Rambeau. Yeah, we already heard about that. I don't know. I mean, what to think about this? I'm not sure. Of course, Kat Dennings is free from the Two Broke Girls schedule, so she's got plenty of time. Plot details are understandably scarce, but it's been described as a MCU epic combined with elements of a sitcom, with the Olsen and Bettany... That's garbage tier. That's not me. With the Olsen and Bettany. No, it should be with Olsen and Bettany, jointly calling it a variation of wacky and fun. So funny and a huge epic. So that, you know, they are kind of trying to get it as a sitcom, a Marvel sitcom. That might be interesting. I probably wouldn't have picked this, but I don't know. Maybe this is all in Wanda's mind. Maybe this is kind of where we left her without Vision, and she's kind of living in her own reality. I don't know. It's kind of weird. Let me know what you think this is going to be about. It's set to debut exclusively on Disney Plus in spring of 2021, presumably ahead of the Scarlet Witch's hotly awaited big screen return in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, May 7th, 2021. That's the thing that bugs me about these things. Now, I would probably get Disney Plus tomorrow, but I think all they have to offer right now is The Mandalorian. And while it's an interesting concept, it looks pretty good, I don't know that I would get it just for that, you know? I'm not sure how they're handling Disney Plus either. Are they doing an episode a week and... I don't know, it's a streaming service, right? Does that mean that you have the option of, you know, start it wherever you want? I mean, you don't have to be there Saturday nights at 7, right? I mean, you can just get the service, start The Mandalorian, you know, with episode 1 on a Thursday night. You know what I mean? I don't know. I don't know exactly how that works, but yeah, you know, they get too much interesting stuff here. They get too much interesting stuff that I've got to pick it up and find it eventually. But again, not until they have more stuff. I mean, I don't see myself, you know, paying $7 a month for just the Mandalorian. You got to offer me more stuff. I think they're going to have all the MCU movies. They're going to have all the Star Wars movies. But I got them all on DVD or Blu-ray or both. There's probably no reason to get it just to see the movies. That's another thing. Although, that's the sad thing, though. I don't really want to see Blu-rays and DVDs go out of business. And I think streaming services like this are going to be a big push to, you know, push them towards the dinosaur. You know what I mean? They're going to be obsolete probably within 10 years. I don't like that. I like having a hard copy. I like having a physical copy. I also like it because, like I said, if there's something that doesn't entice me to stay with Disney Plus or whatever, I'm going to cancel it and save the money. So, you know, you can keep your discs, but you can't keep the streaming service if you choose to part ways. Okay, well, I've got the synopsis here. I don't know. It basically says the same thing. Let's see. Elizabeth Olsen and Paul Bettany return as Vision and Wanda Maximoff, two superpowered beings living their ideal suburban lives who begin to suspect that everything is not as it seems. So that is the synopsis. That sounds kind of interesting. I don't know. Director Matt Shakeman and head writer Jack Schaefer joined everyone on stage to reveal that the streaming series will blend the style of classic sitcoms with Marvel Cinematic Universe, with WandaVision premiering on Disney Plus in 2021. So, kind of telling us what we already knew, but I don't know. That's kind of interesting. You know what I mean? I Dream of Wanda, the Scarlet Witch. I don't know, or Bewitched, right? The jokes, you know, write themselves. I don't know. Kat Dennings would probably be really good at the comic relief here in a way that she wasn't in The Dark World. Although I thought she was really good in the original Thor. I thought she was good as the comic relief there. They I don't know how they got it so wrong for The Dark World. I am one of the few people that will admit they like The Dark World, though, but I think they kind of lost track of the Darcy character. I don't know. It just wasn't as good. The comedy relief there. Alright, so let us move on and to our next story. Let me know what you think about this upcoming series. Alright, here is what Marvel is promising next for Disney Plus. We are going to have 3 new series. At least 2 of them have been widely speculated and hoped for and wished upon. Can you guess which ones they are? Now, this is exciting and problematic at the same time, because on the one hand, do you really trust Marvel Studios now at this point? Do you trust the MCU to do these shows right? I have no idea what She-Hulk is going to be. Let's tackle She-Hulk first. As a big Hulk fan, and seeing as how they ruin the character of the Hulk pretty much, generally in degrees, but I think definitely by the end of, you know, Phase 3, they had pretty much... I hate to say that, because I thought Ragnarok was a better Hulk movie than it was a Thor movie, actually. I mean, they did pretty right by the Hulk in Ragnarok. What you think about the rest of the movie is open for discussion, but She-Hulk, are they gonna ruin her? Now, I'll come right out and say I'm a fan of the She-Hulk in its original incarnation, the early 80s incarnation. Now, I think Stan Lee, this is one of the last Marvel characters he created, and it was supposedly a rights grab because they realized that if they didn't claim the name She-Hulk in copyright, somebody else would. It would probably be a rival company, you know, DC. And you have to remember also that, you know, there was like controversy over Wonder Man and Wonder Woman. Marvel had Wonder Man, and it's kind of like, you know, they didn't want the opposite done to them because Wonder Man wasn't copyrighted, so they copyrighted it, and so they figured let's get a She-Hulk into the Marvel Universe. And the original concept of the She-Hulk was similar to Bruce Banner, where stress and you know, anger or whatever would bring out a different side of Jennifer Walters, and she'd become the She-Hulk. And she was kind of a different personality, but was much more merged with Jennifer Walters. And I really liked that version of the character. Now, the more popular version, I guess, is the John Byrne version of, I think, the early 90s is when he started taking over the title, and made it a very tongue-in-cheek, sitcom-y, goofball type character. And I didn't like that very much. It didn't feel like a character anymore. It just felt like a caricature, you know what I mean? I think the problem with it was She-Hulk really bounced around because they couldn't find a home for her, because she wasn't that popular as the Jade Giantess version. So like I said, they kind of just went all in with She-Hulk, and she joined the Fantastic Four, she joined the Avengers, temporarily joining the Fantastic Four during Byrne's run there. And it might have been Byrne that had the idea to have her completely jettison the Jennifer Walters persona. I never liked that, because I like characters with a dual nature. You know what I mean? That's what drew me to the Hulk. That's what makes me the big Hulk fan I am, because I like the Hulk to have the dual nature. He's, you know, Bruce Banner, the most brilliant scientist among any of the MCU's or any of the Marvel Universe's scientists, but on the other hand, he's a 5-year-old child that's raging and rampaging in a huge green body. And it would have been funny, or I should say, you know, more enjoyable for me at least, if they could have found that kind of balance. But then basically Byrne just made her a Green Jane Mansfield. You know, that's what I've always said. And it was just a joke. It was just a spoof. It was, oh wow, look, She-Hulk is huge, and she's wearing the latest Gucci fashions, and you know, I just never dug that. It's like, she's a superhero. She's supposed to be smashing up stuff, and she's supposed to be letting the rage of gamma rage power her, and so on and so forth. Just having her be sort of like this, you know, this chicky type character. I don't know. I didn't like it. I didn't like it at all, and I realize I'm probably in the minority there. So, yeah, I mean, let me know what you think. Do you have any hopes for the She-Hulk series? I'm not sure how they're going to realize her. Are they going to bring in Mark Ruffalo possibly to, you know, spin this, you know, get this show started? Because, you know, the famous blood transfusion is what caused She-Hulk. Or is it going to be like I'm figuring, just going to be like sort of a big joke, and they're just going to haha She-Hulk and just let her be her own corner of the Marvel Universe? I don't know. And are they going to realize the She-Hulk in CGI? I don't know. I wouldn't know what to tell you. Is she going to be? You know, some people are suggesting like Gina Carano. They could get a muscle builder, but then again, you do that, that's going to look different than the CGI Hulk, right? I mean, you're just going to have a bodybuilder. Why not just get Lou Ferrigno? You know what I mean? I was an advocate for that in the past. I was like, look, we can get Lou Ferrigno and sort of just bulk him up. I mean, CGI-wise, we could make him look like, you know, do the, well, I was going to say Lord of the Rings, but they even did this kind of thing in Captain America First Avenger, where they just took Chris Evans and made him skinny. You know, we could take Lou Ferrigno and just bulk him up twice as big with the CGI. I don't know, I'm just spitballing, but you know, let me know what you think about the She-Hulk series. What do you think it's going to be? What do you want it to be? And we'll move on to Moon Knight, which again, this is a character that's been in high demand, and everybody's wanted to see Moon Knight. He has the coolest costume. Moon Knight to me reminded me of, like, when I was a kid, Black Panther and Moon Knight. I really loved the costume, but I knew nothing about the characters. I would just love the costume and say, oh, I want to get, like, you know, an issue of that. And then I read it and I'm like, I don't understand any of this. You know what I mean? Black Panther, because he was like the king of his own country, and, you know, it just, I don't know, it it never permeated in my brain as a kid, so I didn't really get it. But Moon Knight was even more convoluted, because he was a guy that kind of had some kind of magic amulet or something that made him what he was, but then again, he had like 3 different secret identities. One was like a cab driver, one was a stumblebum, I think, the other was a professor, or I don't know, something like that. And it just was like too complex for me as a kid, and I never picked it up again. But it seems like an interesting concept that I really would like to see done well. So I'm excited for Moon Knight, especially if they give him the comic-accurate costume. It's going to be pretty exciting to see. He's got a real cool costume. And he's one of the few Marvel characters with a cape. So you got to see that in live action, at least. And, it's a character dressed all in white, which is something also we don't see too often. So I'm hoping they'll kind of stick to that. And last but not least, oh yes, Ms. Marvel, by demand of probably no one, Ms. Marvel is getting her own TV series. Now, I don't have a problem with this. I mean, I think they would be crazy to try to make a movie of Ms. Marvel, because she is one of the worst characters created in recent times. I mean, her powers are like these big, gigantic hands, like Mr. Fantastic. I guess she can make her hands stretch big, and the only selling point is that she's, I guess, the first A-list Muslim superhero. So, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you beyond that about Ms. Marvel. I've never read the character. Of course, I've read the original incarnation of Ms. Marvel, which I was hoping they'd use in the Captain Marvel movie, but they started kind of like that, but they skewed very, very much more to the more modern Captain Marvel. But, yeah, again, I think this is the safety for Ms. Marvel. I think they want to keep the training wheels on, see how this character does, and maybe they'll try to, I don't know, foist her on the big screen at some point. But as of now, yeah, build her up on television. See if, with maybe some good writers, I don't know, maybe it'll be interesting, but I don't know. I couldn't tell you what to expect with that show. But let me know, are you interested in Ms. Marvel? Are you looking forward to Ms. Marvel? Are you looking forward to Moon Knight? Are you looking forward to She-Hulk? Which one are you looking forward to the most? And be sure to let me know in the comments below. Alright, we are going to stick with it, as we always do. We're going to stick with the Disney Plus news here, and we are going to take a look at Cassian Andor series. Yes, this is actually still going on, even though we haven't heard news about it since, I think, November. We just take a little sip of the H2O, if you don't mind. And we didn't get much more news here about Cassian Andor either, the series, but let's see. Oh, I forgot to read the copy. I was talking about all that stuff about the Disney series that they're putting out on Disney Plus. It says here that Kevin Feige reportedly confirmed that Ms. Marvel will also appear on the big screen. So, at least Ms. Marvel they're planning on spinning off to the big screen. That is not a surprise, but I pretty much figured that they want to keep the training wheels on. They don't think they can just sell a Ms. Marvel movie right now. Alright, let me look at my notes here. What do I got for Cassian Andor? Cassian Andor series, let's see. Rogue One prequel series that will purportedly focus on the early life of Rebel spy Cassian Andor, played by Diego Luna. The untitled series received a bit of attention during the panel with Diego Luna joining on stage by Alan Tudyk, the voice of K2SO. Both characters will be returning for the upcoming series, which was confirmed to begin shooting in London next year. Alright, so they are going to start shooting this one next year. Unfortunately, that was the only notable announcement. The series remains untitled, although Tudyk had his own suggestions for a name. K2 Fast, K2 Furious, a Cassian Andor story, he joked. The upcoming prequel series is described as a rousing spy thriller that will explore tales filled with espionage and daring missions to restore hope to a galaxy in the grip of a ruthless empire. Now, on the one hand, I don't know that I really need a Cassian Andor series. On the other hand, Rogue One is arguably the best thing to come out of Disney Star Wars. Some people wouldn't even argue that, although I did kind of like Solo. I'm not gonna lie. Like I said, I'm not here for the clicks and just tell everybody what they want to hear. I thought Solo was okay. It was pretty good. It wasn't a classic or a masterpiece. Neither was Rogue One, but Rogue One had the it had the wiggle room more because you had different characters that didn't need to. You know what I mean? You weren't going to compare Diego Luna to Mark Hamill. You know what I mean? Just like we had to try to imagine Alden Ehrenreich as Harrison Ford. It didn't have the kind of pressure on it that Solo had. It kind of makes me wonder if maybe they want to just abandon the prequel type, unless we have a character like Ewan MacGregor, which we'll get to in a second. But maybe it's for the best not to do young Princess Leia movie and recast Carrie Fisher or young Luke Skywalker on the farms of Tatooine. Maybe it's best just to let the characters, lie where they lay. I don't know. Let's see. Back in November, Diego Luna said when the series was first announced, "Going back to the Star Wars universe is very special for me. I have so many memories of the great work we did together and the relationships I made throughout the journey. We have a fantastic adventure ahead of us, and this new exciting format will give us the chance to explore this character more deeply." Let's see. Yeah, that's about it. Both characters will be returning. K2SO and Cassian Andor, and the series was confirmed to begin shooting in London next year. So, yeah, I mean, like I said, I'll give it a chance. I'll definitely watch it. It can't have too much to do with Rogue One because we all seen how that ended, and we all know that he didn't meet too many of the classic characters of Rogue One. In that before that film, it was K2SO and him. That's all it was. Maybe we could see Bail Organa. That might be something that's exciting and worth seeing. Mon Mothma, some of the early rebel leaders, General Raiken, or Admiral Dudana. Was that what his name was? Admiral Dudana? I don't remember. Have him come back. But I don't know. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Okay, here's some news we've all been waiting for. It's been finally confirmed. It's been finally announced officially. We all knew it was going to come someday, but we didn't know when because Ewan MacGregor was pretty coy. Disney was pretty coy. There was a lot of starts and stops. Originally, it was expected to be a movie or maybe a trilogy of movies, but then The Last Jedi happened, and all forward-moving Star Wars projects were halted and nixed from the big screen. So they kind of smartly, I suppose, decided, well, let's move Obi-Wan to Disney+. Now, I'm not sure if that's the greatest idea, because I think if you wanted to get the Star Wars fandom back out in droves to the movie theaters, you're not going to do that with a film trilogy by Rian Johnson. You're not going to get that reaction with a film trilogy by the Game of Thrones guys. You're going to get Star Wars fans back to the theater by seeing Ewan MacGregor back as Obi-Wan Kenobi. Now, you decide to put him on television. Now, again, this isn't something, we talked about this a couple of weeks ago when it was rumored. This isn't something that's necessarily a bad idea. They probably will use this to great effect to get a lot of more subscriptions to Disney+. They probably didn't need them, though. I think you can have a lot of subscriptions anyway, but, and it's kind of like now you get 3 or 4 movies out of it, because I'm guessing the episodes are going to be an hour long, so if the show is 6 episodes, you've got, what? Is that 2.5 movies maybe worth of screen time? If it's 8 episodes, you get 3 movies. This might be the way to do it. Let me read the copy this time. The Disney Plus panel at D23 ended in style with the announcement that an untitled Obi-Wan Kenobi Star Wars TV series is indeed coming. Not many details were announced, but Ewan MacGregor was brought out on stage and finally able to admit that yes, he is reprising the role. I didn't even get to see that, but there is footage of that where he came out and confirmed Ewan MacGregor, gosh, what is it, 15 years after his last turn as Obi-Wan Kenobi, will be returning as Obi-Wan Kenobi. And he's arguably going to be the same age that Obi-Wan is supposed to be, right? How old is he now? Gosh, it's been 15 years, and he was... Jeez, man. Nah, he'd probably still be a little younger than... But it depends when they set this film. Let's see. We do know that the scripts for the show are written, and the shooting begins in 2020. So that's cool. Maybe that won't be too long away. The timeline of all the Star Wars movies and TV shows coming to Disney Plus was shown, and it's widely claimed on social media that this series will take place after the events of Solo, a Star Wars story. So that sounds pretty cool for those of us that kind of like that tease at the end of Solo. With that in mind, there's a very good chance that Darth Maul's return will be addressed, and that we'll finally get to see these two old enemies cross paths again. After all, this won't be that exciting to watch if it's just Obi-Wan wandering around the desert keeping an eye on young Luke. So yeah, this is what I wanted. I think that was the plan all along for Solo, was that it was going to lead into the Obi-Wan movie. So thankfully they're not going to abandon the Solo plan. I imagine we're still going to see Crimson Dawn. We're going to see Ray Park back as Darth Maul, something else that was exciting to see finally after all those years. We're also going to see, I don't know, we probably will see Kira come back, maybe, Emilia Clarke. I wouldn't be against that, to see, because she was kind of given this big role with Darth Maul. I kind of would feel strange if they didn't expand on that, or at least touch on it. I don't know if it's that important, but I think they have to tie it in. And the most important thing is actually seeing Ewan MacGregor's Obi-Wan and what's happened to him in the intervening years between A New Hope and Revenge of the Sith. They have 20 years to play with there, so it's, it's pretty cool. I really want to see a showdown between Obi-Wan and Darth Maul. I can't think of too many other things that might take place. It would be cool if they could get back Liam Neeson as Qui-Gon Jinn, and we could finally see how Obi-Wan learned to commune with Qui-Gon, as was hinted at the end of Revenge of the Sith. Of course, Liam didn't show up for the other two movies of the prequel trilogy, but maybe he could be coaxed back. He was coaxed back for Clone Wars. Maybe we could get him back for a minor role, maybe just an appearance. That would be fun. I'm really looking forward to this. And yeah, if for no other reason, I would get Disney Plus for this. I mean, I've got to see. Now again, this is supposing that this series is going to be treated with tender love and care. You know what I mean? Do we really trust Disney to do right by Obi-Wan in this series? Is there going to be some female lead that's going to steal his thunder? It could be Emilia Clarke again. I don't know. I mean, this is the only thing I'm hopeful for. This is the only thing that I'm hoping that, and that's probably the reason why they're putting it on Disney Plus, is they're hoping that, look, Jon Favreau's in charge of The Mandalorian. He's a guy that got his stuff together, you know what I mean? I trust Favreau more than I would trust J.J. Abrams or whatever other person Kathleen Kennedy's going to put in charge. Now, if they can get a showrunner to instill us with some, feeling of credibility, this really could be something special. And I'm going to hold out hope for this. I have no hope for Rise of Skywalker, but I do have hope for this. I don't really have hope for whatever they're going to do in 2022, which is when I believe the next Star Wars movie is greenlit, which is still under wraps. Nobody knows what it is. It's supposedly a trilogy, and a lot of people are still thinking it's going to be Rian Johnson. It isn't going to be Rian Johnson's trilogy, but Let me know what you think. What do you think about the possibilities of the Obi-Wan Kenobi series, Portrait of a Jedi Master as a Young Man? Well, maybe not so young now at this point, but yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. Excited about the prospects. Okay, let's see. No, we're going to save that for later. Let's talk about this one right now. We'll stick with Star Wars. The Mandalorian trailer dropped, and I watched it once. I hate to say it looks good, but I'm not wildly enthusiastic about it. I mean, it's one of those things, like I said, I'll watch it when I get Disney Plus. I don't see myself subscribing just to see this series. If it was Boba Fett, the mini-series or the limited series, something like that, I probably would. But it's been confirmed that this character, the Mandalorian, is not Boba Fett. And it's just going to be sort of, I believe this takes place post-Return of the Jedi, so it might not ever have anything to do with Boba Fett, but it is sort of in the post-Return of the Jedi universe, which is very unexplored territory. I mean, we've got the sequel trilogy, which is, I forget, what is it, 25 to 30 years in the future? This is basically 2 weeks after Return of the Jedi, I believe. Also, the big news is Ming-Na Wen has been cast in a role, an undisclosed role. So she's going from Agent May to she went from Mulan to Agent May to now appearing in Star Wars. So she's hit the trifecta, and well deserving. You know, I like Ming-Na, and it's a role that has not been disclosed as of yet. So I can only imagine it is going to be another butt-kicking heroine, because that's what she plays so well. Let me look at the copy here. It says, it's currently unclear what her role will be in the series, but Wen is definitely excited to join the sci-fi universe. She joked about Disney's recent acquisitions and all the roles they've given her. Please just keep acquiring all these different franchises because I get to keep being employed by them. I have hit every bucket list thanks to Disney. So yeah, that's darn right. We've seen her appear in everything Disney related. Let's see, to close out their jam-packed presentation, Disney Plus finally unveiled the official teaser trailer for their upcoming live-action series, The Mandalorian, which Jon Favreau is on board as creator, showrunner, producer, and one of the writers. While there isn't much in terms of plot details, the teaser does offer up first looks at the Star Wars cast, which includes Pedro Pascal playing the titular character, Gina Carano, Nick Nolte, Giancarlo Esposito, Emily Swallow, Carl Weathers, Omid Abati, and Werner Herzog. The freshman season will feature episodes directed by Dave Filoni, Taika Waititi, Bryce Dallas Howard, Rick Famuyiwa, and Deborah Chow. Let's see. The synopsis: after the stories of Jango and Boba Fett, another warrior emerges in the Star Wars universe. The Mandalorian is set after the fall of the Empire and before the emergence of the First Order. We follow the travails of a lone gunfighter in the outer reaches of the galaxy, far from the authority of the New Republic. The Mandalorian features Pedro Pascal as the Mandalorian, Gina Carano as Cara Dune. Dune. Nick Nolte in an undisclosed role, Giancarlo Esposito in an undisclosed role, Carl Weathers as Greef Karga. I like that name, that's pretty cool. Greef Karga. Emily Swallow in an undisclosed role, Omid Abati as Dr. Pershing, Werner Herzog in an undisclosed role, Taika Waititi as the voice of IG-88. I don't know if I ever would have expected that. His voice to come out of IG-88. I don't know. They're going to have to sell me on that one. Bill Burr in an undisclosed role. Mark Boone Jr. in an undisclosed role. And Ming-Na Wen in an undisclosed role. They got plenty of surprises there. Some of these characters ought to, you know, they better be... I don't know. Who's it going to be? Ponda Baba's father. I don't know. I mean, they've got to... I don't know what the heck they're doing with all these undisclosed roles. They're keeping something secret, that's for sure. You have any idea what those secrets are? Let me know in the comments below. And tell me how excited you are for The Mandalorian. All right, we've got another bit of news here for the MCU on Disney's streaming service, Disney Plus. Let's see. Please tell me I wrote down. Yeah, here it is. Okay, I got the copy. The Falcon and the Winter Soldier has picked up a few new cast members. During the Marvel Studios portion of the Disney Plus presentation yesterday, Kevin Feige officially announced that Wyatt Russell, Overlord, I don't know what that is, has joined the cast of The Falcon and the Winter Soldier as John F. Walker, a.k.a. U.S. Agent. Yeah, now I remember this character. In the 90s, I don't know, they were always killing off Captain America in one form or other. I think for the past 20 years, they've really done Captain America dirty in the comics. I mean, he was... I don't know, he was... He disappeared off the face of the earth. Then he got some kind of steroid disease from the formula, and that put him out of commission. Then he was killed by some... Was he killed by Sharon Carter, I think, in the what's it called, Civil War, the original one, something like that. I don't know. Then, of course, they made him Hail Hydra in the most recent comics. Kind of feels like they've been doing him dirty. But back in the 90s, I think they introduced this character, U.S. Agent, when Cap was going undercover again, kind of going rogue, I guess. And he was sort of the captain that the government could depend upon because, you know, you can't trust your government in this day and age. I guess apparently 20 years ago too. And, you know, he had the black suit because in the 90s everything was dark and gritty. And, you know, the Punisher, man. The Punisher was the greatest thing. And Ghost Rider. And we had all these great things. I don't know. 90s comics didn't really do it for me. You know, the early 90s was okay. I'll still go by that and say the early 90s was okay. When you had, you know... DC was kind of doing their thing with the Batman Nightfall and the Death of Superman, and it was kind of interesting, but it was, you know, sensationalized comics at their best. Marvel, though, I always felt they kind of dropped the ball. I mean, it was like, it's all we were focusing on was the grim and gritty, the Punisher, the Ghost Rider, and then, of course, there was also X-Men, but it was mostly because you wanted to focus on Wolverine, you know, slicing and dicing, and so X-Men still were in a pretty good place, I guess. I wasn't really too fond of any of the 90s comics. Early 90s, it was okay. It was okay. But by 95, I tuned out. That and the prices. You know, you have to be either affordable or good. You can't just have one or the other. You know what I mean? If you're going to be expensive, be good enough that I want to keep coming back. If you're going to be, I don't want to say trash, but if you're going to be subpar, you know, don't be charging me $4. You know, $1.50 is about the most I'll pay for something that's maybe subpar. I mean, even most of us don't want to try that. But, you know, such is the comic industry now. Let's see. U.S. Agent in the comics. The character was a member of the West Coast Avengers and even served as Captain America for a spell. Feige also confirmed that Marvel Cinematic Universe veteran Emily Van Camp, yay! Clap warning, they didn't completely forget about her. Will indeed reprise her role as Sharon Carter in the upcoming series. Now, can I just rant for a split second? Again, another rant, but I felt they did her the most dirty. The only one they did dirtier than Sharon Carter was Betty Ross. They did Betty Ross so dirty. They didn't even reference her for the rest of that freaking MCU. They never referenced her again. And that was disappointing. But I think they did Sharon Carter just as dirty because at least they kind of hinted at a relationship between her and Cap in Civil War. And then they got her just like, they didn't even give her a mention. They got him off with her aunt in the future. Again, that ending just does not sit well with me. I did not like that at all. I mean, I'm always one for saying that you don't have to have a somber ending. I don't like somber endings. That's why I didn't like Tony dying. But I would have preferred the opposite happen in a sense. I mean, I would have preferred that Tony would have survived. He could have gone off and lived with his family and his daughter, what have you. And Cap had to sort of, like, maybe he would get that dance with Peggy, but then he'd have to go back to the future. You know, back to the future. And he would have to realize that he lived out his life without ever, you know, this relationship with Peggy. That would have probably been, to me, the kind of bittersweet ending, if you want a bittersweet ending, but they chose to do it the other way around and put Cap on the bench, literally, for the, going forward. I don't know. I just didn't see him in character with him either. Anyway, rant over. Anthony Mackie and Sebastian Stan will headline the highly anticipated series, with Daniel Bruhl serving as the series' primary antagonist. Of course, that antagonist is Baron Zemo, which, like I said, I don't know if he's going to be called Baron. I really need him to be called Baron. I need him to be called Baron. I need him to see the pink sock on his head. That's all I need. The purple suit, the pink sock. Call him Baron. It really doesn't matter now because we don't have the actual Captain America. But it looks to me like they're doing, like, there's a fight for who wants to be Captain America now that Captain America's done. That he's retired or whatever. I don't even know if he's dead at this point, but because he was 97 years old or whatever at the end of Endgame. But it looks like you're going to have U.S. Agent vying for the position. You're going to have Sam, who's bequeathed the shield and the title. And then you got Bucky, who by all intents really should be Captain America, because he was like Cap's brother for like whatever it was, 75 years of trying to rescue Bucky, and I still think that's ridiculous that they didn't give it to him. But hey, I don't think you should. I don't like passing the mantle anyway. I don't think you should have another character named Captain America once the original Captain America is dead. It doesn't work that way. I don't like that in anything. I don't like that like in Batman. Batman dies, so Dick Grayson will become the next Batman. No, Dick Grayson will be the first Nightwing. He won't be the next Batman. I mean, it kind of works with Robin, because you kind of feel like, well, like the apprentice there sort of outgrows the mantle and becomes their own hero, and so on and so forth. But in a case of like someone like Batman, someone like Captain America, that's not like a title that you give to somebody else and say, okay, now you're the next one. We're not talking the Phantom here. I don't know. That's old school. If anybody wants to look into that. All right, gosh, we're taking a lot of time. Let's wrap this up. Kari Strogland is directing the six-episode live-action series with Malcolm Spellman on scripting duties. The series is expected to debut in August 2020, exclusively on Disney+. Let's see. This is the synopsis again, but it's pretty much just repeating it. So I don't know what function they're going to have with Sharon Carter. Is she going to be a romantic interest to somebody? Knowing that this is Disney, I will say no unequivocally. But that might be cool. That might actually be interesting to see if maybe one of the two guys is a new girlfriend. I don't know. It kind of feels gross now, though, because they did hint at the romance with her and Steve, even though it was never acted upon. But it kind of feels like she's being thrown to the wolves now as to what to do with her. It's like, well, we can't bring her back and expect her to be a love interest. We can't bring her back. And I mean, she's going to be basically the glorified Maria Hill, I imagine. I mean, look what they're doing with Maria Hill. I would like to see Maria Hill be brought into one of these shows, and unfortunately that doesn't look like it's going to be happening because Kobe Smulders has her own show coming out this year. All right, so let us move on now. There's some G.I. Joe news, which I find interesting because I've been waiting for a G.I. Joe spinoff for quite some time. And we got the original G.I. Joe movie, which I actually liked, but I understand a lot of people didn't like it. And of course, what's his face? Channing Tatum. Nobody really liked him as Duke, and it's understandable. But the film really, I don't know, it kind of brought me back to the old G.I. Joe days when I was a kid. And then they came out with Retaliation starring The Rock, but to me it felt more like just a generic Rock war movie, And then they kind of danced around certain things with Cobra Commander coming back in somewhat, interesting fashion. So, it was okay, and I says, all right, let's give us another one. Well, it took them another 10 years or whatever, but they are going to do Snake Eyes, the motion picture. And we have word now on the casting this is somewhat problematic for me. The actor is not going to be Ray Park reprising the role of Snake Eyes. Henry Golding will be playing the lead role. Now, I don't know, this upsets me in as much as Snake Eyes should not be seen. His face should not be seen. So if they're going to race bend the character, I'm not sure exactly what race Snake Eyes is, but he is supposed to be white. They even showed that in the first G.I. Joe movie. So I don't know if they're going to show Snake Eyes without the mask on. If they do, apparently Golding, he doesn't really look like he's entirely white, like Snake Eyes is supposed to be. So again, that kind of upsets me if they are going to show his face. Now, if you don't show the actor's face, you can put any race in there. It's not going to make any difference. I remember in the original G.I. Joe movie, the studio was pretty adamant that they show Snake Eyes' face, and the director, to his credit, I can't remember who it is now, insisted that Snake Eyes never show his face. Now, hopefully that's the case here. I'm not sure. I trust Hollywood to be anything less than woke, so I'm not saying that this is going to be to my liking. We have the actor who's going to play Storm Shadow, which is always, that's a rivalry that's going to go on for the ages. It's always, every time Snake Eyes does anything, Storm Shadow has to be in there somewhere. Let's see, Andrew Koji will be the titular hero's arch rival, Storm Shadow. Plot details in the G.I. Joe spinoff remain under wraps, but we do know R.I.P.D. and Red director Robert Schwenke. Hey, Schwenke. Hi, Schwenke. He'll take the helm of the film, which has a script from writer Evan Splatopoulos. I have a feeling I've read this before. I must have talked about this once before, because Schwenke and Splatopoulos, those are names you don't forget, you know? So, hopefully we're in good hands with Schwenke and Splatopoulos. Oh, man. But, yeah, I just, hopefully, honestly, my hope for this is, A, they don't let Snake Eyes take his mask off, which, I don't know, you gotta remember, Snake Eyes doesn't talk either. So, if you're gonna have him star in a movie, I don't really see how this is gonna work. They do call it a spin-off, so I'm guessing this is not an origin movie. I'm guessing this is not a reboot. They say spin-off, meaning this should be picking up where the series left off. If that's the case, hopefully they'll bring Jinx back. Elodie Young, I believe, played Jinx. And most importantly, hopefully they'll bring back Rachel Nichols as Scarlet. That would get me. That would get my Tookus in the seat like nobody's business, because that would show that they're actually trying to have some continuity. Because they left it hanging, whatever happened to Scarlet. I mean, they had Lady Jane, which I always liked Scarlet better than Lady Jane. But, you know, there's this thing, you know, in the sequel. But there's this thing against redheads in Hollywood, so I don't know. Again, I don't feel confident that we're going to be seeing an accurate depiction of Snake Eyes in this. And again, this is coming from a big G.I. Joe fan. You know, I haven't kept up with it in a long time, but when I was a kid, G.I. Joe was the stuff. And yeah, I mean, she had kind of a thing going with Duke and with Snake Eyes that kind of bounced back and forth. And now that we have Duke dead pretty much in this continuity, you can just have her focus on Snake Eyes. That's kind of the thing I didn't like. I didn't like them killing off Duke just because nobody liked Channing Tatum. I mean, you know, I would rather recast than kill somebody off. And they kind of, I don't know, they were kind of suggesting that she had, I don't know if she had a thing for the Wayne, what's his name? The Wayans brothers guy? I can't remember which one it was. Was it Marlon? No, it wasn't Marlon. Damon? I don't know. Anyway, it was kind of a jumbled mess, so I can understand if they wanted to start over, but it looks like they're not, so do right by this franchise and get Rachel Nichols back, please. Alright, and we will wrap up now with, we're going on quite a bit here, But there is a lot of news. Our final, as of now anyway, I don't know if there's been other news broken since I've been on, but the Rise of Skywalker, we had a Rise of Skywalker poster debut. This is kind of interesting. It looks like computer animation for the Emperor's face. Now this suggests that the Emperor's going to have a big part in this if they're going to give him, because they always tell the tale in their posters, Disney anyway. There's nothing, you know, there's nothing here that is not going to be seen. Like, for instance, when they did The Force Awakens and they didn't put Luke Skywalker on the poster, I was like, oh, they're going to try to build up some excitement for his big return and this and that. No, they didn't put him on the poster because he had literally 10 seconds in the film. And, you know, I can't even remember the Last Jedi poster, but basically, the Rise of Skywalker, they're not showing a lot of Luke Skywalker, so I am guessing we're not going to get very much at all. There's going to be this one little Force Ghost scene. Maybe they'll call back Return of the Jedi at the end of the movie and have him standing there with, I don't know, Yoda. I don't know. But, so obviously I'm guessing Ian McDiarmid is going to have a large presence in this film. Apart from that, we got Rey and Kylo Ren fighting on top of this, I don't know, this broken, I don't know, piece of junk, I don't know. And apparently there's a storm brewing in the background or something. Now they did what was called a sizzle reel, so let me read what the description of the sizzle reel was. Some people are suggesting that the trailer will be released on Monday, others are saying the trailer will be released probably after football season, so they could stick it in a ESPN Monday Night Football or something like they usually tend to do. Let's see. Filmmaker J.J. Abrams said the team was hard at work on a new trailer but weren't quite ready, so they showed off a sizzle reel. The footage included a fleet of dozens of Star Destroyers in the atmosphere of a planet. Rey and Kylo Ren appeared in a later scene, fighting on a downed ship in the middle of the ocean as waves crashed around them, which I guess this is here. Now, she's still got a blue lightsaber, and he's still got his red lightsaber. We'll get more to that in a second. It's also interesting. I've seen clips of the footage, and it has to do with Rey telling Finn she has to do this on her own, which anybody's guess what that could be. Also, we've seen Darth Vader's destroyed helmet again, his melted out, burnt out helmet again, as Kylo has apparently gone back on his, you know, let the future die, or let the past die. I don't know. I can't keep up with this. All right. The biggest crowd-pleasing shot occurred at the end of the reel with Rey wearing a dark hood, sporting a double lightsaber. The footage hasn't been released online. The presentation also gave a first look at Kerry Russell's mysterious character, who sports a helmet and a red suit. So this is pretty cool. You know, a lot of people wanted this to happen, and it looks like this is what J.J. Abrams is going to use to throw a bone to the fans and say, look, we're listening, you know, we're not going to just have Rey be the goody-goody, we're going to have her join the dark side. That's actually pretty cool as a concept. Now, I don't know that I want her to remain on the dark side. I mean, does that necessitate that we have Kylo Ren as the hero? Or does this just mean that there's going to be some kind of sappy Finn and Poe have to bring her back to the good side? Or, well, maybe not Poe so much, because Poe pretty much has met Rey for, I think, a total of like 1 minute and 30 seconds during this whole series. Another weird situation. Let's see. Kerry Russell said of her character, she's very cool and a little bit shady. She's kind of a criminal and an old friend of Poe's. So, yeah, I guess she's not a bounty hunter, which is what they were suggesting before. Oscar Isaac, who plays Poe, pretended to comfort his co-star John Boyega. Online, fans have expressed a desire for the two to have a romantic relationship. We were young, everyone was experimenting, he said to Boyega, who pretended to be upset. Yeah, right. I bet they're really upset. So, you know, at least they're not going to be pandering to the shipper cults, I guess. You know, I don't know. I am not excited about this still. The Rise of Skywalker, I can only hope, and I imagine will be the case, that J.J. Abrams knows how to put on an entertaining picture. I mean, it's going to be an entertaining movie in so much as it's going to be coherent. He's going to probably give you some of the iconic, you know, the iconography that everybody wants to see. As far as the storyline itself, who knows? I honestly don't know what to make of how they could salvage this. It doesn't sound to me like they will be able to, but again, I've always said, if you put Mark Hamill in the story, if you put Luke Skywalker back in the flesh, if you give him a green lightsaber and you have him ignite it against the bad guy, the main beast of the series, you'll have my money. You'll have my money. Doesn't look like they're going to do that here. I don't think they want it. From what we've heard from Mark Hamill, he does not sound happy with this film. He does not sound any happier with this film than he did of The Last Jedi, and he was, I was going to say a word, he was ticked off with that film, as much as any fan was. So I'm quite certain that they're not going to do justice by Luke Skywalker. He is not going to come back and fight Rey, which is what I would like to see. That would be so cool. And not necessarily that he was coming back to fight her to kill her or anything, but, you know, probably in shades of Return of the Jedi, where he came back and, you know, he's trying not to fight Darth Vader, but when you got someone swinging a sword at you, you got to kind of fight back. I don't think they're going to do that because they don't want to undo the ending of The Last Jedi, where you had Luke, like, shadowboxing Kylo Ren, and it kind of would be the same thing, I think, because he wouldn't be trying to kill her by any means. I mean, you know, when you think of it, though, Obi-Wan was every bit a Jedi, and he still went after Anakin, you know, decapitating him. So if Luke was put in that situation, maybe he would have to fight Rey to the death, and he would take that as something that he needed to do. You know, a sad duty like Obi-Wan did. And wouldn't it be cool if maybe Obi-Wan, through the Force, played by Ewan MacGregor, maybe could talk to him about such a possibility? Or Yoda, you know, something like that. Would be interesting, but that's not the movie we're going to get. I'm disappointed in pretty much everything I've heard about this film so far. I guess, again, with the Emperor being involved, the Emperor is somehow going to sway her to the dark side. I don't know if that necessarily is possible as a Force ghost, because from what I understand, the Sith don't live on as Force ghosts, but it's all up to George Lucas now, isn't it? And I think George Lucas had some input, I believe. Now, again, I don't think they take a lot of story ideas from George Lucas, but I think he did supposedly have some input on the script and gave some pointers to Abrams and whoever else in the team is working on the script for Rise of Skywalker. And again, the very title, Rise of Skywalker. If it is going to be what the rumor is, it's going to be where the Jedi are no more, and then they're not going to undo The Last Jedi, and it's going to be the religion is now going to be called Skywalker and not Jedi. I am going to throw whatever I have at the screen when I undoubtedly have to see this film. My family's going to take me to it. Don't yell at me. I'm being forced. But the popcorn, the chicken nuggets, whatever I have in hand, if that's how the movie ends with it being called Skywalker now instead of Jedi, I am throwing the whole kit and caboodle at the screen. So, what do you think about this poster? What do you think about Rise of Skywalker, what we've heard of it so far? What do you think about this storyline, apparently, where Rey will turn to the dark side? The Emperor Palpatine is going to probably be the catalyst for her turn. What do you think about the possibilities of Luke Skywalker coming back in the flesh? Having something positive to do in the script? I don't know. I hope maybe Mark Hamill's just being coy when he's still when he's still ticked. But yeah, that about does it for another stellar Saturday here with yours truly. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining me as we take apart the D23 news. We are going to go back and try to find some more news, because we still have another, day and a half of D23. I'm sure some more stuff will come out, but we spent over an hour here as it is, so we had plenty of stuff to talk about, and hopefully maybe Monday we'll have the wrap-up of some more stuff to talk about from the rest of D23, and yeah, be sure to let me know what D23 means. So until next we meet, this is Johnny Torch thanking you for staying here with us on the only way to spend your Saturday here with us on Johnny Torch Live, the Johnny Torch broadcast, Torch News Roundup. And make sure you hit that like, share, and subscribe. Check out the Adventures of Bullets Bourbon comics in the link in the description below. Follow us on Twitter if you are so inclined. And be sure to leave a comment. Let me know what you think about the show and what you think about these exciting stories. What are you most excited about? What are you looking forward to? What are you not looking forward to? What are you worried about most of all of Disney screwing up some of these properties that they have? Are you concerned at all? Let me know. This is Johnny Torch reminding you once again, keep the flame burning brightly, and I'll be with you again real soon.